I have some exciting news. As of this May, I am finally done with school. I've graduated, and that means I'm now a full-time YouTuber. What that also means is we have a lot of work ahead of us. One of the tougher aspects of being a YouTuber while in college is that I was constantly traveling back and forth between where I live in New Hampshire and my school in North Carolina. Sometimes I'd be filming from my living room at school, other times from my dorm room, and even when I was home, I felt like I had outgrown my shop. The shop that you have seen in most of my videos was originally built by my dad out of scrap pieces of lumber left over from former projects. The shop is situated in the basement of a house from the late 1800s. The floors, which at one point probably resembled concrete, are now starting to crumble. As the foundation has settled, the walls are no longer true and the mortar has turned to dust. But we're not going to let the inconveniences of an old house hold us back. Alright, so the first step right now is we're going to go clear off this bench behind us.
So the first step right now is we're going to go clean off the bench behind us, tear apart the bench you're on, and make it pretty.
Oh, I was going to keep this bench. We're going to get on the same page. As we cleaned up, we encountered plenty of surprises.
Oh, that's so nasty!
A trick I was taught from a wise carpenter is an old speaker makes a great tool for picking up metal objects. Ever had to use branch trimmers in your own house? Yeah, me neither.
Look at that bug. It's crawling. He's ugly. There's another bug. While Phil is vacuuming the walls inside, I'm going to come out here and show you what we did with the wood. So I separated it out, small 2x4s, the long pieces, the plywood over here. We're going to go through all of this and figure out what we can use, what's rotten and gross and just needs to go, like this pile.
This is where we are right now. We've kind of opened up a can of worms with... But things were really starting to look a lot better, and at this point, there wasn't really any turning back. With a rough plan, it was time to start assembling.
I can't read upside down. I want to be back over here.
A little bit of a gap, but that's like basically perfect. This wall is pretty uneven, so...
Yeah.
This is a prime example of how not to build a bench. You see, I'm trying to match the bench that my dad had already made. And as I learned from my dad, trying to reuse up as much old material as physically possible. And that definitely made this project a lot tougher than it really needed to be. Can I take a second to express how much I hate Phillips head screws? As much as I love my name, these things just flat out suck. From here on out, all my projects will be either done with Robertson's or torque head screws. On that note, an impact driver is also on the list of things I need to buy. Alright, now that I've built everything absolutely wrong, I'm going back and trying to fix my mistakes. Once everything was assembled, it was time to brighten this place up and put a little bit of lipstick on the pig. I wasn't quite sure how to feel about this color combination at first, but after a while it really started to grow on me. Once the paint was dry, there was only one thing left to do, and that was to put the tools on the wall. In my opinion, many of the store-bought tool holders for pegboards are rather ugly. And while some of them work perfectly fine, others not so much. So it was time to do what we do best and improvise. And luckily for us, it wasn't very hard. Each one of these pegboard holes is spaced out by an inch each. Using a few L hooks and some pieces of trim, we were in business. A lot of these designs were based on things I saw after doing a quick Google image search. Alright, so I've decided, even though this is not the right way to do it, there's too much of the bumpiness for me to really want to deal with this. For this part of the project, I'm using self-leveling concrete. The correct way probably would have been just to rent a jackhammer and replace the whole slab completely. However, I didn't want to risk damaging the foundation in the process. So weighing the pros and cons, I felt that going this route was the safest solution. The beautiful thing about self-leveling concrete is that it only takes about 2 to 4 hours for it to cure enough to be able to walk over it. This project was really starting to shape up nicely. The addition of this foam tile flooring really tied the whole room together. By chance, I found out that this Elmer spray adhesive was a perfect solution to reduce the crumbliness of the footers. Surprisingly, one of the more time-consuming tasks of the whole build was trying to figure out how to organize all the tools on the wall. In the end, it took quite a bit of trial and error to settle on the current setup, but in all likelihood, it will most likely change a little down the road. It's always nice to have multiple bike stand options, so besides the standalone bike stand, I mounted an articulating hook to the wall to hold the back wheel, and then using an old piece of climb rope, mounted another one to the ceiling. And both of these conveniently stow away when not in use. No bike shop should be without a mini fridge, but what about a micro fridge? And yes, we do have a sound system, provided you still have a headphone jack on your phone. But in the likelihood you don't worry, we have a backup solution. The last vise I had came from Harbor Freight, and well, I broke it a long time ago, so getting a new one was quite frankly way overdue. For the time being, I mounted it to a base plate. This way I could freely move it around a bench depending on the project. If needed, I could always clamp it down. To keep things nice and tidy, we permanently attached an extension cable to the bench. Knowing me, I'll use any excuse possible not to clean up after myself. So I have to get creative and make the cleaning process as easy as possible. One of the things we don't have in the basement is a sink, so these heavy-duty baby wipes will have to do for now. As a side note, if you've never experienced rubbing alcohol in a spray bottle, it's life-changing. You should try it. And yes, now that I'll sort of be settled down in one place, I finally picked up an air compressor. So, welcome to the future of Skills with Phil, and welcome to our new shop. As you can see, this place is far from perfect, but perfect from afar. Let me know what we're missing in the comments below, and also what we should name this place, because after all, every home needs a name. I'm excited to see what you guys come up with. And one last thing before I close off for the day, Skills with Phil stickers are finally available. I'll leave a link to where you can pick them up in the description below. As always, my name is Phil Metz. Thanks for playing bikes with me today, and I'll see you guys next time.